And I think we're constantly evolving, aren't we, Lance? And a lot of those things I don't necessarily do anymore because they've evolved. So the essence, I think we're on this continuous journey, and we should allow people to evolve and to kind of rebrand as they go and all that kind of stuff. But everything I do is about communication. In fact, the only thing I do is really about human communication, helping people to understand themselves and each other better. So there might be a kind of broad umbrella, and you might see me talking to organisations and going into corporates, but that's just a cover really for the real issue, which is helping people to get to the authentic self. That's really what I do. So you're right, it was being caught in the biggest natural disaster of our lives that set me on the understanding of this. And do you know what I was saying to someone earlier on? It takes forever for the penny to drop sometimes, doesn't it? And you look back and you think, well, how did I not get that sooner? But everyone learns in their own pace, and as they're shown new things, that's assimilated, and then the threads start to kind of knit together, and you realise what it is that you're meant to be doing. And the tsunami was 2004, so it's now 2018, and I'm still only really learning exactly what it is that made me change in the way that I did. But I firmly believe everything I'm doing is all focused around that core thing. And that core thing has to be that as human beings, we walk around communicating with other people and thinking we know other people when really we don't. And how can we if we don't know ourselves? So for me, what happened when we suddenly find ourselves in this life or death situation, everything is stripped back. The mask we wear is stripped back. The facade we put on, whether we mean to or not, is stripped back. And for me, before the tsunami, I was an incredibly successful businesswoman. My business was winning all sorts of awards. We'd taken the market by storm because we were doing something new, which was marketing, real hard-end marketing, resulting in very high-profile appointments, and we were doing it on a risk-free basis. So we were making some big waves. And we'd gone from a zero turnover to $500,000 turnover in just 3 years. And all of these awards and accolades surrounding us. And I thought that I knew what I was doing. I thought that was what I was meant to do. And when you're sitting there and your whole world has just come crashing around you, and you don't even know if you will ever get back home to see your family again, it's not my business that I was thinking about. It didn't even figure in my top 10. Yeah. Probably not my top 100. You know, the kind of things that you think about then are playing Scrabble with my mum and dad, you know, having hugs with my nieces and my nephews, and seeing my siblings, and my mum-in-law's roast potatoes, and, you know, all those things are the things that become important. My life was. When you're struck with something like that, you suddenly think, if I get home, what am I going to do? And it was a really big turning point for me. And that's the thing about values. When you connect with someone else's values, when someone has the same values as you, there's an instinctive connection. And the opposite occurs, of course. When someone doesn't share your values, or when their values are opposed to yours, there's a conflict, a subconscious conflict. And I think that's really what it was about for me, Lance. When I finally managed to get home and I went back to my business, I literally, and my husband thinks I'm a little bit over the top with my emotions sometimes. That's because he hasn't got any. Um, but I am quite, yeah, I am quite emotional. I'm okay with my emotions. But I looked around my office, and I looked around my boardroom, and I looked at all of these awards and all of these accolades, and I could have vomited. So Phone Genius is about communicating at a genius level. So what I teach people in terms of communicating on the phone is picking up on all of those senses that we use as human beings, but we put aside. We put it aside because we think that, you know, that that we're really clever with words, and, you know, we just have to write and send an email and stuff like that. But communicating over the phone just strips us of our most used sense, which is our visual sense. And a lot of people have a subconscious fear. They might not think that they have a fear. Oh, I don't have a fear of using the phone, Michelle. I'm quite happy to pick the phone up. I just didn't get around to it. And that's the key. What we find is that there is a subconscious fear of actually making those phone calls. They would rather wait until they see that person face to face. They would rather wait until they can send an email instead, or do something other than picking up that phone. And they don't realise that what they have is a subconscious fear. Yeah.
How to prepare for a TED Talk?
Yes.
Come on then, how to prepare.
Practice, 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 practice. It's interesting, actually. I've never done a TED Talk. I've done a TEDx. In the speaking world, you know, you should never say that you've done a TED Talk when actually you've done a TEDx, because they are different things.
Yeah, I know, they get hot under the collar, especially what's his name on the speakers. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You've got to say TEDx, and it's a TEDx that I've done. I think the most important thing is making sure that whatever message you want to get across is focused on, you focus on that. You focus on the audience and what they're going to get from it. I've seen, the more TEDx talks I see, the more I realise that people are, even if it's subconscious, they are just thinking, oh wow, I've got a platform, I've got an audience, and the talk just becomes about them. And it, you know, that there is nothing that's going to turn off an audience more than someone standing up there saying, aren't I wonderful? It was all around us. It was, I mean, it's got to be 30, 40 foot deep there, because our hotel was on a slope down to the sea, so the sea had come up that slope, and then we were on the 3rd floor. So it had, you know, it's got to be between 30 and 40 foot deep by then. All the buildings around us, you know, were just being washed away. The dive centre right next door to us, its roof was being lifted up and carried by the water. And as far as the eye could see, looking all around the hotel, as far as the eye could see, it was just water, just as deep inland.
But I'm interested to hear what you'll say. What do you think of the media? And explain your answer.
Oh, we could have gladly killed the media in the aftermath of the tsunami. I'm going to tell you a very, very quick story, which will explain why. I remember getting a phone call in the middle of the night, or a text message rather, in the middle of the night from my brother. And my brother said on this text message, we're going to get you home. The Sun, meaning the newspaper, have organised, they're organising a rescue party, and they're coming for you. And oh my God, Lance, I can't tell, we had no idea when we were ever going to make it home. But I went round to everyone I knew, just waking them up from their slumber in the garden and whispering in their ear, it's okay, someone's coming to get us, someone's coming to get us. And oh my God, the feeling they gave us, the hope they gave us was incredible. It never happened. What they did is they were collating information from my brother, who was a policeman. They were collecting information from him to make a sensationalised story. And in the Sun newspaper, it said that he'd managed to get this text to me, and I'd called him back, And you'll still find this online somewhere. And it says that I said to him, you know, we've run out of water. There's one person here with gangrene, and that was true. These were facts, you know. And then it said, and now the crocs are coming in. And with that, the phone went dead. I've never seen a crocodile up close in my life, Lance. I never said that. They used it for the story. Every other newspaper picked that story up and used it. They transported me to different countries, to different places, to different scenarios, but they all used the same story. You don't know. They don't know what they did to our hearts. They don't know what they did to us when we suddenly thought we were going to be saved. And now all we realise is that they're just trying to sell papers off the back of our misery.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking, heartbreaking. Shame on you. Okay, so my website is mmp.uk.com, and that stands for Michelle Mills Porter. On there are lots of details about my courses, about what I speak about what I've done for other organisations. And of course, I'm on LinkedIn, which is just the most amazing channel for anyone in business. And again, there's only one Michelle Mills Porter. So if you look at Michelle Mills Porter on LinkedIn, you will get my ugly mug. Just send me a connection, and if you can put a message in there to say that you've seen this, then that will give me some context in terms of how we might know each other. Well, thank you so much, Lance, for everything you do. I'm thrilled to be part of it, and I'm just sending out love to everyone that watches this. So yeah, try and find your authenticity, find your reason for being on the planet, and then just go out and share it.